Hey there, welcome to Creative Living. Today we are talking about alignment and flow. So, really, the intention that I want to share with you for this video is to give some practical framework for connecting with your own inner attunement and alignment that generates flow for yourself and others in life. And really, who this video is for is heart and soul centered people who are really here to contribute and give and connect to the call that life has issued for people to connect with the planet and each other on really showing up to align with their own inner sense of purpose so that they can really give of themselves and connect with life on a deeper level. So let's just get into it, all right? Now, to get into talking about inner alignment and flow, we need to talk a little bit about your intuitive anatomy. So what does that mean, intuitive anatomy? Well, you have an inner truth compass in your belly. See, you have this really amazing anatomy. The intuition is not actually something that is this kind of woo-woo abstract thing. Intuition has been a part of humanity for really long time, and it actually is something that we have more in common with the rest of life than a lot of the other unique characteristics that make us human. See, there was a time when humanity was not as intellectually complicated as we are right now, and at that time our communication was sublingual, meaning that it was pre-language, and that it's a lot like how animals communicate. You see maybe a flock of crows interacting, and sure, they do some cawing, and but or maybe if you look at cats, there's a lot of communication that happens between cats that doesn't require any meowing. Cats do a lot of meowing more when other humans are around, but when they're just amongst themselves, they seem to have an attunement to each other, an awareness of each other's needs and wants without actually verbalizing anything. And this starts to point at intuition and a sense of inner alignment. So, but I also just want to give a brief introduction here about just what I'm talking about. I know that you probably all know about flow state, but I do want to just say a few words so that we're all on the same page and can see how all of these things connect. So, flow state is really an experience of things happening naturally and easily, and there's a sense that one thing just leads to the next, and there's not a lot of trying and efforting. Yoda famously said in the Star Wars movies, "Do or do not. There is no try." And and that's something that is really pointing at the fundamentals of flow state. And alignment is kind of a precursor to flow state. Alignment is something that happens within the body, and it's really a sense of feeling and feeling personally connected and personally aligned and personally whole and attuned within yourself to what you want and what's important to you, and really what it is that you're here to give and contribute and how you're going to do that. And so this alignment and attunement and flow state is really a creative state. Now, it's not to say that it's only creative people or artists that are going to have flow state and attunement and alignment, but people also have this in movement practices. But there's actually a relation between these movement practices like yoga and parkour and different flow arts that you may see people get into if you're in the festival scene, or dancers, musicians. All of these people that do something extraordinary. They're all tapping into this flow state, and part of how that's happening is by them getting attuned within themselves and having a sense of inner alignment. So let's just get into that a little bit and maybe talk about what it feels like to have this inner alignment and this precursor to flow state. And then as we get into this video, we'll talk a little bit more about like how this is useful and how this applies as a creative part of life, and how you can really enrich your life by putting your attention on inner alignment and generating flow states for yourself and for other people. So let's first get into alignment. So alignment is something that you really feel, and alignment is a byproduct of intuition, as we were discussing earlier, and a sense of truth within yourself, a sense of knowing, a sense of self and who you are and what you really value. So at a fundamental level, there's a certain amount of personal development that goes into that. But you may also have had a lot more of these experiences of flow when you were younger. You may not really have even thought about it, because as a younger person, you probably just wanted to have a good time and play and do stuff that you liked. But that is actually totally fundamental to alignment and flow state. So we have a lot to learn from our younger selves and maybe even the younger people in our lives, but don't necessarily expect your 15-year-old or your younger brother or sister to really understand what you're talking about, because this is all just very intuitive to them. So you might just gain more by observing them and reflecting on some good times in your life when things went really well, and start to connect the dots and allow your intuition and inner knowing to fill in and inform you about some of this stuff that we're going to talk about today. So inner alignment really starts with like intention. Like, what are you here for? Why are you doing what you're doing? What are you trying to create, to contribute, to give? And that sense of inner alignment, it really feels like being clear and knowing what you're doing and knowing what your actions are for. So a place where you might not feel a lot of flow is a place in your life where you're doing busy work, or where you're doing stuff that you don't like filing your taxes or something like that, unless you're an accountant, and maybe then you've got mad flow and doing your taxes and the taxes of all the people that you do taxes for. But for most of us, that's not the case. So one of the keys to inner alignment is building the things that you do, the creative parts of your life. Or when I say creative, again, I don't just mean art. I mean like putting things into motion, putting things into life. Building software can be tremendously creative. Building organizations, building teams, these are all creative acts. Even creating policy, if you're in kind of a more bureaucratic role, these can be creative things when it comes from a place of inner alignment. So in previous videos, we've talked more deeply about the why behind things and getting in touch with your values and what do you want to give. And this is also related because manifestation and alignment and flow, they all kind of go hand in hand. So you'll start to see crossover if you're subscribing and watching these videos. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, and it really helps us to develop this channel. So I really appreciate that. But back to alignment. Alignment is really this sense of clarity, of knowing why you're here and what you're doing. So there is there's a certain amount of introspection there that kind of precursors this. But another thing that I think is really relevant about alignment and creating alignment is to just recognize that this isn't really a quick fix sort of thing. It's not something that you're gonna just sit down and watch a 2.5-minute video and like boom, have some breakthrough in that project you're working on. I really want to just plant this seed that working on yourself and making time for planning and thinking things through is going to help you with having that sense of inner alignment and having things just flow out of you and really expand your creative capacity. Now, you may have noticed at the beginning of this video, I honed right in on what's my intention and what's my purpose. And if you are looking for something that is more of a quick fix and something that you can deploy immediately, that is one practice that makes a huge difference in creating inner alignment. So tuning in with your inner sense of knowing and your inner sense of intuition and letting that guide you to what is the true purpose and intention you have for what you're doing. Now, the thing is that where you might get hung up on this creation of or attunement to inner alignment is by trying to state an intention or a purpose that you think is what you should be doing. Like maybe you have been watching self-help videos, or you've been getting into personal development stuff, and you've heard people say things like, you need to think of the top 5 things that are most important to you, and here's how to be a more effective communicator. And so then you're and you're kind of goal oriented and focused on getting to the finish line. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with goals, and that really works for some people, but you really want to get up underneath that and not be trying to define your behavior and kind of put yourself into a box based on what somebody else said you should be focusing on, or what somebody else said that you should be doing. That's also kind of more of that short-term mentality. And it might work for a little while. You might get really motivated and inspired for about, a few days or a few hours or a few weeks. But the thing is about that is that if you're just following what somebody else said you should be doing, what somebody else said you should be putting your attention on, then what you're really doing is you're aligning yourself with that other person or their organization's why, their mission, their purpose. And that might help you along the way to kind of, get some reflective points, or to try out some new habits. But in the long run, it's not really going to do that much for you in having a more sustained, long-term, day-to-day, hour-to-hour experience of flow and alignment within yourself. And one of the things that I think is just so important and valuable about this is it's so much more about how you feel than something that you're going to get, or or an award, or being seen as having achieved something or being successful. That's important. I'm not trying to downplay success, because success rocks. It's awesome. But it's not really an end in and of itself. You are an infinite creative being as a human being, a powerful manifester. And if you have questions about what that is and you want to know more about that, check over on the rest of my channel. I've got a whole series on manifestation, and there's a lot more information on there. But for now, I really want you to hone in on just this sense of, feeling really good about being yourself every day. That is a really, kind of what, you might put your attention on, is this kind of more like self-love and appreciation for yourself and your own creative capacities. And that by putting your attention there, that is going to start leading you down the path of getting a clearer sense of who you are and what you're good at and what your life is for. But if you already have a good sense of that, then we can just kind of jump into some of the more practical fundamentals and things that you can deploy right away that are going to give you more access to flow and alignment throughout your day, and give you more access to creativity so that you can give more of yourself and contribute more of your talents and gifts to really help along humanity and life and the planet on this transition that we're going through right now. So one thing that I think is really helpful for alignment is getting in tune with your energy. And for most of us, a really easy portal and access to that is putting your attention into the body. Now, this doesn't work for everybody, but the vast majority of people are going to get a lot of value out of this. And, and this is really kind of developing awareness and presence practices, and letting the mind take a vacation, because the mind is brilliant at solving problems. But in flow state is so much a generative process. It's about creativity and generativity, that it's not so much about problem solving. So it can be really helpful to develop these more contemplative awareness and presence states of being as a habit in the body. And meditation or mindful exercise. And when I say mindful exercise, what I mean is that you are putting your body in motion in some way that feels good to you, and being aware of the body and practicing staying present with the motion and staying present with what you feel. And that's another thing that is really useful for creating alignment and flow, is developing regular check-ins for yourself of how are you feeling in your body, in your emotions, and just getting more in tune with yourself and what's happening in your body, and what your body is telling you and what your body needs from you. I think it goes without saying that just having good nutritional practices and making sure you're hydrated is also really important, because this kind of alignment and flow type practice is you need your body on board, because you're utilizing so much more than just your mind, which is kind of a myopic way of deploying human consciousness. No, human consciousness is not just in the mind, and it's not just a byproduct of the brain. That your creativity and your awareness exists in all of the body, and it exists as a byproduct of the intelligence and awareness of all of your cells and organs and everything that makes you up. It's really miraculous, actually. So another way that you can get in better tune with alignment and flow is by getting curious about the knowledge that your body has about what even is intelligence, what even is a human being, and contemplating some of these things when you maybe go for walks. Go for walks when you start to notice yourself getting kind of bogged down, or just kind of stuck in your work or stuck in whatever it is you're doing. But get out and walk and bring your energy and your awareness into the body and be present in your body. And literally notice if you get kind of in thinking loops, where is your energy in your body? Is it up in your head? If it's up in your head, for most of us, most of the time, that is not a great place for generativity and creativity to happen. We need to bring our attention and our awareness and our energy down into the body and really feel that energy, feel that rootedness, that groundedness. And there's a meditation that I recently put out on intuition and rootedness, and connecting with planetary intelligence, that I think you might find really useful. So go and check that out too. And so to kind of get into this a little deeper, we all have unique ways that we align with our energy, but one way that works for most people is to put your attention into your belly and connect with your intuition, connect with your inner sense of knowing. And at the beginning of this video, I was talking about some of the more structural aspects of the human organism that give rise to this. But the one that you might really want to look into is the vagus nerve, which is the largest nerve in the body. And that nerve runs all the way from the brain down along the spinal cord, and then innervates all of these like kind of gutsy things down in the belly. And so, and that nerve is really tuned in to your sensitivity and your sense of where you're going in life and what's important to you. And so when people say go with your gut, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about all of that sensitivity that is literally an extension of your intelligence into the body in the most comprehensive way. So that's one place that you might tune to, and practice attuning yourself and asking questions of yourself about, the deeper things in life. What do I value? Why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And asking yourself if there's really an alignment, a true alignment in the projects that you're doing and the things that you're up to in life. If there's really an alignment between you and the people you're surrounding yourself with. Is there really an alignment between you and the environments that you're placing yourself in? Is there an alignment between you and the things that you have surrounded yourself with? Because if there's not an alignment on all of those layers of your being, and when I say being, I mean the whole experience of life that you're having. If there's not an alignment between you and all of those things, well, your awareness and your intelligence is going to be distracting you, or said another way, focusing you in on the things that are out of alignment in your life that need to be changed. So if you're finding yourself being bothered and distracted and annoyed by the people and things in your life and the things that are happening, that might be a clue that for you to facilitate more alignment and flow, you need to start changing those things and raise your standards for what you're accepting and what you're allowing into your experience. Because you have manifested everything in your living reality, i.e., you have brought it all together, you have brought it all in, and it is all a manifestation of your choice, your standards for what you think you're worth. So another thing that you can do is get in tune with your own sense of self-worth. And a great way to do that is by bringing your awareness again down from the head, down out of the mind and into the heart, the intelligence of the heart. And this is the place where you have the second most nerve-ending innervations in your body into one concentrated area. And that's because the heart has an intelligence of itself. The heart has its own magnetic field, and it's at the center of your energetic aura. And we can talk about that more in another video, and I don't mean to get too woo-woo here, and I promise this ain't some woo-woo shit. It really isn't. But let's just leave that topic for another video and just focus in on the awareness of the heart, and that your heart is so attuned to who you are and what you love and what is nourishing you and what is sustaining you. And so if you are wanting to get a better sense of what to keep around you and where to put your attention, feeling with your heart space is a great portal into inner alignment. And doing meditations that focus your attention on what you love and what you're grateful for will amplify the field of your heart space and will amplify that intelligence, because you are a biological organism and these things take practice. Is that saying, if you don't use it, you lose it? Well, that's kind of true. Although it's not a permanent lose it, it's more just kind of like if you don't go to the gym and exercise, you're not going to have muscle, you're not going to have strength. Well, if you don't tune into your gut instinct, your intuition, or you don't tune into the wisdom and intelligence of your heart space, you literally are not using and developing and growing those neuronal connections that allow for the interface of the intelligence of your mind into and innervating into the intelligence and literally the nerve structures that make those connections in your body with the rest of the intelligence of who you are and your intuition. So these are practices that are actually vital, totally vital for you having regular experience of alignment and flow. And I'm not trying to make this complicated. You know, you may have found your own ways that you do this. It doesn't have to happen through meditation. It can happen through hanging out with your friends and laughing your butts off together. It can happen through getting together and creating things. It can happen through connecting with people that you love. It can happen through journaling and getting in tune with your own inner truth sense. But that's another one of those things that is, you know, really vital for you, surrounding yourself with the things and people and environments and situations and projects and endeavors that really light you up. And that's what's really going to facilitate this inner alignment is curating your environment and your life around you and really getting to know yourself. And then also aligning what you're good at and what your strengths are and what you like to do and what you love to do with the projects that you choose and the people and that you surround yourself with and the things that you put around you in your life. Because everything in your life really needs to have a purpose. Otherwise, what is it doing there? And you may be even asking yourself that question about yourself. What am I even doing here? And so I'm not trying to send you on kind of a self-conscious trip or to, get you up in your head about that, and if that's kind of what's going on, just bring your energy back down in your body and take a couple of deep breaths. I could probably take a couple of deep breaths. I've been talking for a while. So, alignment and flow. Let's wrap this up. So alignment is really a byproduct of you creating alignment and expanding your sense of who you are and recognizing that who you are is an extension of everything that you're surrounding yourself with, the people that you're connecting with, the projects that you're putting your energy into. And really that is what is at the center, the fundamental center of all of this is energy, feeling. Flow is something that you get into by feeling it. It's not something that's going to happen by you. I mean, yes, you can kind of get scientific about it and, know what your magical formula is. And, for the more kind of left energy leaning people, the more kind of like logic driven people, that may be a good way that you kind of facilitate some of this, but you can't just get into flow state that way. Flow state for yourself and others is going to come about by you getting in tune with yourself and really feeling into what do you need, what do you feel good with, what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel connected, and putting your energy towards that and putting your energy towards the projects and activities that you want to do. And the things that you don't really like to do and you don't want to do, either delegate them, stop doing them, or you might need to do a little bit of investigation and reframing around why you're doing them. And an example I want to give about that is around paying bills and rent or mortgage or whatever that is for you. For me, I used to have this conversation around that, oh, it's just so much money, and why is it so much money, and my rent is so high, and but I had to flip that script on myself because it really wasn't serving me, and it was causing me to get knocked out of flow state and knocked out of feeling good and knocked out of any sense of personal alignment. But here's the thing is those perspectives and stories and belief systems, they're actually kind of BS, because what's true is that I am so freaking grateful that I have clean running water and that I have a beautiful place that I live that supports me doing everything that I care about, and that I have electricity that makes this possible, and I have an internet connection that allows me to upload videos to YouTube and connect with people that are interested in the same things that I am. And you kind of see where this is going. And so actually now when I pay my bills, and I'm so grateful, and every single time it's like, wow, like I get to do this for another month or however long because I paid all that stuff and I am doing what I need to do and I'm doing my part, and it makes me feel good and it gives me energy. So, that's really what I want to leave you with, is that alignment and flow is so much about creating alignment, not just, like in the moment, but thinking more long term and looking at where you're putting your energy and putting your attention on your energy, both in the things and the people and the activities that make up your life, but also in a somatic, felt way in the body, getting connected with what you feel and what feels good and right to you. And when you do that, you're going to have a lot more experience of flow and alignment and synchronicity and a better time with manifestation overall. And said another way, just being really effective and causing the things that you want to have happen and making the impact that you want to have and helping the people that you want to help. So I just want to really thank you for being a heart and soul-centered person on this planet at this time. We value you and we need you so much. So thank you for being here. And if you're resonating and connecting with this message, and maybe if you thought of somebody that you think would get value out of this message or really needs to hear this, that you send this video to them. So thank you so much. That's it today on Creative Living. I love you, and I'll see you next time.